Have you noticed that everything that has left your life, whether it was job, relationship, belief system, that's what we're working on most of the time, that there is always something better that shows up. Always something better. So we get to cling less and we get to flow more. You know, that guy that decided not to cling said, I'm going to die of boredom. Because living this life of playing small and getting into complaining and worry and fear is really boring. It's really, really boring. And that's why we come into groups like this to awaken and say, I want to learn how to flow. I want to know and live in that sense of wellness that is me, that inexorably being connected to the transcendent flow of life. Nature has a lot to teach us. I probably say this every Sunday because I'm always amazed when I stop and look at nature, and we are one with nature, how the lessons come and how I get to learn about the flow all the time. Last weekend, I was in Colorado performing a wedding, and I went jogging, and I was on this path that had all these sunflowers along the path. And I noticed all the sunflowers were facing the sun. And when I came back about a half an hour later, not looking quite as lively, all the sunflowers were now facing the sun because the sun had moved. See, nature gets it that we have to face the light. We have to live in the flow. And life, it will continue to illumine us as we live in the flow. Isn't it interesting the word flow is in flower? What do you know? You know, and you look at flowers, and flowers are doing their thing. They're being their beautiful selves. They know who they are. So a lesson from nature. Another great story in Eric Butterworth's book, In the Flow of Life. There was a man that was poring over a dismissal notice on his desk. 20 years at this job, and he'd been let go. And he was in despair. He was thinking, you know, gosh, after all these years, I'm too old to be hired again. And I feel useless, I feel hopeless, I can't live on the income that's going to come after they let me go of this job. What am I going to do? And there was a spider walking across his desk right about this time, and he kind of brushed off the spider. And then he watched in amazement how the spider spun a little strand and landed gracefully on the ground. And he just reflected, you know, that spider took the crisis and got into the flow of that mysterious presence of life and floated right down to the ground. And if I'm thinking and I'm worrying about all these things about since this job is completed for me, I must not be in my flow. What could this be teaching me? What has life shown me if I'll quit clinging and start flowing? If that essence is inside that spider, that essence must be inside of me. So he sat and he reflected, and he realized he'd always wanted to write. He was a writer, and he'd been so busy at this job that he didn't like so much, and that had let him go, like that relationship I was in. There was this great space for him to flow. And he started writing, he started really getting happy, getting really excited about it. His writing was selling, and he created a whole new life. Thank you, God, that this notice had come to him. And he got it all from watching nature, from recognizing that flow that was the natural essence, that inexorably being connected to the transcendent flow of life. So friends, whatever is up in your life right now that is starting to shift, you know, the world and the universe plots for you to awaken. So whatever's being removed, we get to say thank you. We get to say thank you for the space where I'm moving from clinging into flowing. And if a relationship is shifting, if it can't be, through being willing for the communication to increase, if it doesn't move, then you get to do my famous namaste, namaste go, all right? And you get to leave in that sense of honor and wellness. I don't have anything against that person I was involved with. I mean, I bless him because so much of what I learned in that relationship is that I need to honor who I am. I need to live in my flow and work with other flowers. Find flowers which also is the word flowers. So you can just work with that. Flowers, it's all good. So we want to look at the way we cling, because there's not anything about beating yourself up for clinging. It's just noticing it. It's noticing that it's that low vibration rather than the high vibration of flowing, which is where we're supposed to be. And to really get it, that what you feel here on a Sunday morning, because we're all flowers here, that this is what you get to take into your life. Michael Beckwith told us the other night, because Thursday night he was out at Unity Village, and he was talking a lot about clinging in different words. But he says that we've gotten so addicted to living like this, that we have more issues than tissues. And that he said that as we start to resolve and look at our issues and look at the things that are bothering us, they start to dissolve. So as we start to resolve and evolve, they start to dissolve. And so that's our flow, is it's not saying, oh, I shouldn't have this problem and I'm bad for having this problem. It's just being one with it and recognizing that we have a choice. We don't have to be clingers, that we are flowers in transition. And we're always learning how to be one with God and one with all that is. Eric Butterworth uses another wonderful explanation of God, because what we're really talking about is getting into your God self, your God essence. He said, God is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. God is a sphere whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. And if that is the way it is, which it is, then you are the center of God. And you are at the center of God, and you are at the center of God. We're all at the center of God. So let's affirm that right now. Put your hand right here. It's your center, your life center. And close your eyes. And let's say it 3 times. I am at the center of God. 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 Let's take a deep breath. Yeah. So this is how flowing works, that we recognize that we're at the center of God. And if we're finding something that is our life that you get clinging is not fun. Clinging is boring. Clinging is low level. And you want to flow. So you have to ask yourself, what have I learned? How do I keeping the clinging alive? And I'm at the center of God. How do I let flow happen?